Most of us know this feeling, staring at a blank page, trying to force a massive life overhaul through sheer mental pressure. Society provides a standard toolkit for driving this kind of change: financial incentives, the fear of punishment, or the hope that grit alone will bridge the gap. Carrots, sticks, and willpower. But when these tools fail to produce results, we fall into the helplessness wobble. We oscillate between blaming a broken, unfair world and believing that we are personally defective or lazy. Relying on massive overnight shifts and external pressure creates a cycle of failure that actively interferes with the biological and psychological machinery required for growth. In 1971, psychologist Edward Deci, along with researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, began investigating how these external pressures actually impact human performance. The experiment centered on the Soma cube, a geometric puzzle that requires spatial logic and creative problem-solving to complete. The data revealed a counterintuitive trend. When researchers introduced a financial reward for solving the puzzles, the participants' long-term interest and performance dropped significantly compared to the group that received no payment at all. While money can drive basic mechanical labor, the moment a task requires creativity or complex thought, external rewards and threats appear to short-circuit our internal drive. To understand what actually works, we have to look at Daniel Pink's drive and the framework of self-determination theory. This research suggests that human motivation is largely intrinsic. The theory identifies three psychological pillars. First is autonomy, the need to self-direct our actions. Second is competence, or mastery, the urge to improve at a skill. The final pillar is purpose, the desire to connect our work to a meaningful outcome. Environments that thwart these three basic needs lead to burnout. If you lack choice, the opportunity to improve, or a connection to a larger goal, even high financial compensation cannot sustain engagement. Identifying a why that satisfies these three internal needs provides a reliable foundation for long-term cognitive engagement. Shifting into this intrinsic mode requires a specific psychological lens, an internal locus of control. The Carson family faced extreme external friction in mid-century Detroit, struggling with poverty, a fractured home, and the heavy systemic barriers of racial discrimination. Sonia Carson forced an internal locus of control on her children by ignoring the immovable external systems and mandating the one variable they could control. She required them to read and report on 2 library books every week. By focusing exclusively on the variables within his control, Ben Carson eventually rose to become the director of pediatric neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins Hospital at the age of 33. An internal locus of control isn't about ignoring reality. It's about focusing limited energy only on factors where you have the agency to create change. Even with a strong sense of purpose, daily willpower is a finite resource. Eventually, the mental energy required to make conscious choices runs dry. To sustain a behavior, the neurological load must shift from the energy-hungry prefrontal cortex to the basal ganglia, the brain's center for automation. The basal ganglia functions through the habit loop. A cue triggers a routine, which results in a reward, creating an accelerating loop of automated behavior. This is why massive life overhauls fail. They're too large for the basal ganglia, triggering resistance in the conscious mind. The solution is marginal gains. By shrinking actions into tiny 1% improvements, you bypass resistance, allowing small habits to compound upward. Sustainable change is a challenge of neurological automation rather than a test of moral endurance. Most of us spend our lives chasing external rewards with brute force, only to end up exhausted by the effort. Building real agency requires 2 shifts. First, align your goals with your psychological needs for autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Second, dismantle your reliance on willpower by executing those goals through microscopic, automated habit loops. Instead of trying to buy motivation or force change overnight, identify your internal why and automate the smallest possible how.